This is a demonstration of the Forust Manufacturing Model 480P horizontal blade bandsaw. The demonstration today is we're cutting on a fiberglass bat. Bit of a challenging application. First off, the material. It's about 1.5, maybe 2 pounds fiberglass. It has, the first challenge here is this material has resin in it, but it has not been cured. So this material is all kinds of sticky. Sticks to itself, sticks to everything else, and it has the consistency of cotton candy on a very hot, humid day, like we have here in Houston today. So it's kind of a pain to work with. We're worried about it sticking on the blade. The potential customer wants to sky this material. So the blanket, we have it trimmed to about 80 inches, completely fluffed up. This is about 3-4 inch material. The customer wants to split that 3-inch blanket into 2 pieces about 1.5 inches thick. We have a machine specifically for this application called the Model 530. You can find information about that on our webpage. It largely automates this process, but it's a very expensive machine. The customer wants to do this on a very small scale. This is for a quality control offline process. They just want to pull a batch of material off every now and then, split it, and check the inside of the material for quality purposes. So they don't want to spend a lot of material. The Model 480P is a relatively low investment machine. It's not well suited to this application, so we're having to do a little bit of improvisational engineering to make this work. The first approach when doing something like this is to try and push the material through the blade. Well, they teach you 2 things in engineering school. Force equals mass times acceleration, and you cannot push on a rope. Well, this is the next best thing to a rope, so we can't just push it through. We do have here a traveling table, so one thought would be we could just put the workpiece on the table, travel the table through to make the cut. Limitations are first that the material wants to buck up when you do that, and this table only has about an 8-inch stroke. A full roll of this material is 150 foot, so I don't want to make a 150 foot long table. For today's demonstration, we're working with a 15-foot section. The idea being if we can get this to work, we can work with 150 foot. We have to prove it'll work first. Our approach is going to be, like I said, a little improvisational. We have a hold down platen here. The idea is we want to pull the workpiece through the blade, and to make sure the workpiece stays where we want it, doesn't try to rise up, for example, we're running it through a channel here. So the material will pull through this channel, blade will be right about here, and that should give us a good even split. Then the problem is how do you start the material through here? Well, we're mounted on a traveling table. So what we're going to do is back our hold down platen well clear of the blade. We'll manually stuff the workpiece through here until it projects past the platen. We'll start the saw up, run the table forward until this hold down platen is centered over the blade. Then I'll go to the other side and pull the workpiece through while Shane here makes sure that the material on this side doesn't bind up. The blade we're using is a 1-inch wide scallop edge knife style blade. It looks a lot like a bread knife you might have in your kitchen at home. It works very well on this material when the resin is cured or when there's no resin at all. We think it will work well even with the uncured resin, the stickiness, but we get to prove it. So the first step will be to tuck the material under. See, we just get it with our hands, fold it over, and then try to. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Okay. So let me check my camera's good to show this for you. Yeah, that should work. So what I'll do next is I'll start the saw up. I'll advance the table to get the blade centered underneath this platen. I've got to stop, keep the table from advancing beyond that. Then I'll go to the other side and I'll pull the workpiece through. So blade motor. Advance the workpiece. Looks good. Actually, I want to raise that a bit. That should work. We'll hit the stop. I'll go to the other side. This saw was not specifically designed for this application, so this is kind of awkward, but let's see if we can get away with it. Okay, well, hold that a little higher so it's not dragging on the table. There you go. It's taking it well. Okay, we're through. Would you stop the saw for me, please? That's like a pretty good cut, yeah. And would you pull the table back to the home position for me? Let me check my camera's good to show you the result. Like I said, we're working with about 15 feet of material here. Where's my start? I guess here's a start. So here, this is the original blanket, and then here it is split. Material handling is always a pain in the butt with this type of application. But there's a split blanket. You're looking at the cut side, the original factory side. So I'm thinking that worked pretty well. That's a labor-intensive way to do it. This is the cut side here. Look at the other piece. Here's the other half. We split. So you can tell from all the labor, that's why we have the automatic machine to do this. But if you don't want to spend the money on the automatic machine, this is doable.